What's going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a good weekend. Today is Sunday. This is a day I like to prepare, and I wanted to go ahead and make a video of doing just that. So we're going to do some technical analysis today on both the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 futures, get a good idea of where the market is sitting, and make sure we know the levels that we have to watch into the coming week. After we do the analysis on the futures, I want to do some analysis on Apple, Amazon, Google, Tesla, and Microsoft, some major technology companies, and I want to approach this analysis with a very long-term look. As you guys know, the market has creeped up over the last few weeks, and when this happens, some people that are maybe inexperienced start to get tunnel vision. They're only looking at what has happened over the last few weeks because their emotions, they're getting excited about the upside they have seen, but they forget about the long-term view and they get tunnel vision, which can sometimes lead to losses. So I want to zoom out on those major tech companies, make sure we know what is up ahead, make sure we know the supply zones that we have to watch out for, because in my belief, if this market is going to continue, it is going to have to be on the back of some very large tech companies. We're going to have to see the growth on those stocks. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into this one, guys. If you enjoy it, press the like button, subscribe, and make sure to come hang out tomorrow in the pre-market live stream starting at 8 a.m. So guys, we're going to start this video off on the longer term look of the NASDAQ. This is the daily chart, and we're looking at the last year of price action. So first thing we have to know, right, is the market is still very clearly in a downtrend. We're making lower lows and lower highs. That trend has still not changed. So the upside that you've seen over the last about 2 weeks has not changed the fact that the market is still making lower lows and lower highs. Now, what do I mean by that, right? You can see a high here. You can see a lower high here. You can see another major lower high here. So these lower highs continue to come in. On the downside, you can see a lower low right here. You can see a lower low right here. We can see a lower low here, and even previously a lower low here. What does lower lows and lower highs indicate? That is the indication of a downtrend, right? The market is still in a downtrending channel, and that has not changed. So we need to make sure we remember that as traders. We can't get overzealous to the upside when the market is still in a lower low and lower high downtrend. That is something that you have to remember. So I know the market has had some positivity over the last few weeks, but when we zoom out to the daily chart, has it changed much of anything? Has we broke through any major levels? In my opinion, no. We have not done so yet. Of course, we can in the upcoming weeks. Next week coming up on Wednesday, we have CPI. Is that something that drives the market higher, or is that something that makes us continue to the downside, right? Economic data comes out, new events happen, things can change, and that is why we have to react as traders. But as of today, as I'm making this video, the upside we have seen over the last 2 weeks has not changed the longer term downtrend. So first thing that we have to remember. Now, I want to make this short and sweet. Here is where I think the market needs to push above to change the trend of the overall current market. In my opinion, the market needs to break 13,000 on the NASDAQ to change the trend. Now, why do I say that? Why do I believe that this is the level that the market needs to get above? For me, if we get a move above 13,000, this could be the first sign of a higher high and higher low in the short term, right? If we can get above 13,000, which is where the last leg to the downside was, right? You can see we had a low here, we pushed into 13, and we had another leg to the downside, making a new lower low. If we move up into 13,000, if we can hold it as support, that means that we are breaking the previous high on the market. And if we can break this pivot high, that could be the first indication of a higher high. And when the market starts to switch from lower highs to higher highs, that is when you might be able to see a trend change in the short term. So can the market change from going like this, making lower highs and lower lows, to then making higher highs and higher lows, right? Can the market trend start to change? But for me to see that trend change, for me, the first thing I'm looking for is a break of 13,000. So in between now and 13,000, of course, there's going to be short-term opportunities, short-term trades, which is what I review on a daily basis in the daily live streams, as well as in my trading community. But for the sake of this video, making sure we look at the longer-term look, until I see 13,000, I think it's a lot of noise. If we see a move over 13,000, that would be, in my opinion, the first sign of a higher high, which could change the trend of this market. Until then, you are in a very large downtrend, right? You're still looking at this large downtrend. The longer term trend is still looking downward. And if we can break that 13,000, that is a break over the previous pivot high. That is what I think needs to happen. That's what I'll be looking for. This video is not to tell you what's going to happen, not to tell you exactly what I think. It's just pointing out the technicals on the longer term time frames to make sure you're aware of it. With that said, that's the NASDAQ. Let's go ahead and jump now into the ES and do a very similar longer term analysis and just get an idea of what this market is doing. So guys, here's the ES. And for me, we can clearly see the same thing. You see the lower lows and lower highs. You see the larger term downtrend still there, right? High, lower high, lower high, lower high. And has the move over the last week changed anything? In my opinion, it has not, right? So we have to make sure we're aware of that. If we look at the bottom side of this channel, we have a lower low, a lower low, lower low, and previously, just about 2 weeks ago, another lower low. So that is something we need to look at as well. When we zoom out, we can see lower highs, lower lows. Nothing has changed of that trend just yet. However, what is something that I want to see happen if I think the market can try to find some upside? In my opinion, you need to get above around this 4,100 to 4,200 supply zone up here on the ES. This would indicate to me a higher high on the market, right? That would be the level that I want to see break. Right up in here, this is a little bit of a zone. It's not perfect like the NASDAQ. You can see this is more of about a 100-point zone on the ES. Anywhere from these last pivot highs and these pivot lows, if I see a move above that, then I believe the market is trying to change its trend. You can see this is where we bounced or we rejected off of and made a new low, where we made that next leg lower, which is similar to where the NASDAQ is. If we go to the NASDAQ, we can see the leg lower happened right here. This was around June 3rd. If we go to the ES, June 3rd is right here, and this is where we made that next leg lower. This is around 4,200 on the ES. So why would I want to be bullish on the market if it can't even get above the previous pivot high and it can't break that rejection point? So for me, I need to see the ES get above this rejection point, which is where the market rejected previously, make a higher high, start to change its trend, and then I can start to look for upside. Until then, just like I said on the NASDAQ, I think there's a lot of noise, short-term trading opportunities. Of course, I'll be looking for upside into that 4,200 level. That's not what I'm trying to get across here. I'm not saying you can't trade to the upside until then, but the market sentiment, the market overall longer-term technicals, in my opinion, are still in a downtrend until you see a break of that pivot high. So I totally understand that I'm leaving out a lot of shorter-term levels here on this video, but this video's purpose is to make sure we know the longer-term look. Make sure we know what is the market doing over the last year. Make sure we don't lose sight of the longer-term trend, and that is why I went over the NASDAQ and ES on a very longer-term look. I pointed out 2 levels on those futures contracts that I believe need to break to try to change the overall trend. Of course, like I said, plenty of short-term trading opportunities to both the upside and downside. We have CPI data next Wednesday, which could change this all around. So we're not going to so much focus on that short-term stuff. We're going to focus on the longer-term stuff, and that is what I'm looking at here on the ES and the NASDAQ. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the 5 tech stocks that I want to go ahead and review today with the same type of mindset, the longer-term look, not so much in the short-term opportunities, but the longer-term look to make sure that we remember to zoom out and not get tunnel vision. All right, guys, so the first one we're looking at here is Tesla, everyone's favorite stock. This is the last year of price action, and here is the main thing that I want to point out on Tesla's longer-term look, right? Again, focusing on the longer term. This major supply here between 760 and 800, in my opinion, is going to be a very difficult level to break above on Tesla. To get above this level on Tesla, I believe it's going to have to be supported by a pretty serious upside move on the overall market. You guys can clearly see the amount of previous support that has come in at this level and the importance of this level just looking at this chart. You can see we had a breakout here back in 2021. We came back down to it, had a short-term bounce off that move. We came back down to it, broke that level, and we have rejected off of it for for almost 2 to 3 months now. So just looking at this green area on the chart in front of you, you can see the importance of it. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I don't want us to get tunnel vision. I don't want traders on Tesla to forget about this level. We'll come into next week and trade into this level and potentially see another downside move. I want to make sure that if you watch my channel, you are always focusing on the longer term levels, the supply levels on the daily, on the 4 hour, to make sure that sort of guides your decisions when trading in the short term. And for me, I am going to be very cautious trading into Tesla 760 to 800 supply. You can clearly see it here on the chart. You can see we've rejected it almost 4 times in the last 2 to 3 months. And is that going to happen again? I can't answer that. But if I look at what's happened over the last 2 to 3 weeks, then I can sort of get some intuition as to what may happen. So we can see rejection, rejection, possible rejection, previous support, and a previous breakout level. Tesla 760 to 800, big supply level to watch out for. Longer term look, giving you guys that longer term analysis. Do not get tunnel visioned. Do not trade calls into a major daily chart supply. Next, I want to go ahead and look at Microsoft. Microsoft is another very large tech stock on the market, and we can see another similar chart, right? You can see a major supply level up here around 273 to 276. You can see we have previous support, previous support, previous support, and support once again, which has turned into resistance, and we have not tapped it yet. So if Microsoft gets a little bit more upside into this 275, 276 level, we have to make sure we are aware. We cannot get tunnel vision and forget that there is potentially a pretty major rejection point up ahead, right? So we need to make sure we are aware of this supply on Microsoft. This is a very clear level. Previous bottom here, back from the beginning of 2022. Support, 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 support. This is where we rejected previously, back on June 3rd, where we had that leg lower that we talked about on the NASDAQ and the ES. And we have not gotten back to that level yet. So if you get a little bit too much tunnel vision here, you might forget that we have a major supply above, and that is why I want to make this video. So make sure you guys have this major level on your chart on Microsoft. I believe you're going to need to see a break above this level for the market to really start to move. You're going to need to see a break above this supply on Microsoft, and of course on Tesla, which we just looked at, above 800. I believe all of the 5 charts that we're about to look at will need to break these supply levels for the market to actually get a good move behind it. The next one is Apple, another major supply that you have to watch out for on Apple. For Apple, it's right around this 150 to 152 level. We can clearly see the importance of this level. Previous rejections here, we broke through it. Previous support here, we broke through it here. Previous rejection right before we had the previous leg lower. This is June 3rd. There's your leg lower to the downside, and we are not back at that level. So in the short term, yes, Apple has been nice to the upside, but have we broken this major supply level on the daily chart? Not yet, and we have not even tested it yet. So again, longer term look, supply level, major supply level up above that we have to watch out for so far on Tesla, Microsoft, and now Apple. You can start to see the picture that I'm painting here. You start to see the common trend. The market has been up in the short term. It's dangerous to get tunnel vision and not zoom out, and that is why I'm making this video. Next, I want to look at Google. Google has, again, another major supply to watch out for in the upcoming weeks or months. We can see right here around 2,400, Google has started to break through it. It's right just about at it, and this is a major supply. Previous rejection, previous rejection, previous rejection, and possibly another rejection as well. Even further above 2,400, we have another level around 2,500, which is where Google previously held in 2022. This would be another level to watch out for on Google, and we are still not even close to that. We're about 100 points off. So again, major supply on Google, major supply on Microsoft, on Apple, on Tesla. Your major stocks are still under these major supply levels, which is why this is something we need to watch out for. Finally, I want to show you guys Amazon, which is another major stock that we have to watch out for. And Amazon has just been underperforming altogether, right? You can see Amazon is not even close to that previous leg lower right here on June 3rd. That's around 125 to 140. You have this very large zone here. You have rejections here, rejections here, and you have your previous support up here around 140. So I hope you can start to see what I'm getting across here. You have major stocks which are still not even close to these supply levels that I believe need to break for the market to move higher. If we're going to see a market move to the upside, I think it's going to have to be off the back of some major stocks. And we have some very important levels on the daily charts to watch out for in the coming weeks. I hope you look at some of these levels, get a good idea of where those major supply levels are above. Do not get tunnel vision in your short-term trading, and make sure to have the overall picture behind you, the overall education and technical analysis when you approach the trading day. If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to press that like button. If you want to get shorter term analysis, short-term opportunities on a daily basis, come hang out in the live stream or join the Discord chat where I post these technicals on a daily basis. Have a good rest of your weekend, guys, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.